True Club, what's the deal? Today we have a very special interview. We're going to be interviewing one of my mentors. He's a great guy, he's a smart guy, he's a God-fearing man, and overall he's just a good person. So today we're just going to see what he knows, we're going to talk about what he does for a living, and we're going to get a little bit smarter today. Let's get it. My man.
Great to see you, brother.
Nice seeing you.
Good seeing you.
This is John right here, one of my mentors. We're going to go in, we're going to do an interview.
All right, Mr. Woodard's basketball, let's do it.
What do you do for a living?
I'm in real estate investment.
How'd you get into that?
Well, it's kind of a long way about it. I've been in about 4 different industries, worked my way through a variety of different roles, and everything was kind of finance background, economics background, investment, risk management. And then we wanted to move back to beautiful Bozeman, Montana, where we're from. So coming back to Bozeman, it's a good opportunity to get into real estate investment. That's what we did.
What does a full process look like for one development project?
It's multifaceted. There's just a lot that's going on. So everything from the ground and the infrastructure you put in, sewer, water, roads, everything to then what you would think about in real estate, like a home, and designing and building that to selling the real estate. What I do is I syndicate investors. So we come together, we raise money, and then we go out and we do projects. We have about 18 projects. We raised about like $50 million in the last couple of years. So there's different projects at different areas around this valley, and that's what we focus on.
The young people looking to get started in real estate, how can they get their foot in the door, and do they need capital to build it, or can they leverage debt?
The answer is just get started, right? However you can. Those that tend to have wealthier parents or access to capital within a family, get off to a faster start. My wife and I, we were in a situation where we got married young, and then we just took everything we possibly could, saved everything we could, and got our first loan, literally not eating out, nothing, right? Just old cars, everything. I'd say working with the bank to understand the leverage situation, because leverage is actually a really good thing. It's not a good thing when it's on credit cards with high interest rates, but it can be a very good thing to get into that first home. You get in that first home, you fix it up, you put in some sweat equity, and it's not the perfect home, right? Like it's your start. But then, okay, there's a time where, all right, we're gonna do it again. And it's a little bit better home, and it starts compounding over time. And then you have the growth of the market, the appreciation, principal pay down. I think you should do an entire episode on time value of money, right? You have to get it in, whether it's the real estate market or the financial market. The most important thing in investments is time. If you have time, a couple $1,000 today means something 30, 40, 50 years from now. And it's just the discipline.
Can you talk about how important the relationships have been for your success today?
Relationships are the most important thing. So I always look at it at 2 ways. One, character is who you are when no one's looking, right? That's who you are to your core and your set of beliefs. And then your reputation is how people view you. And I think they go hand in hand. And there's no secret that when you follow Warren Buffett and hear what he has to say, almost every time he goes to his shareholder meetings for 40 years, he talks about reputation, right? And reputation is really what comes down to the relationship.
What has been one of the number one problems in business today?
When you get into business, there's a lot you don't know, right? And you think you know it, but you don't. You have to live it and experience it. I think about every stop along my way in my career, I've always had a mentor, and I had a really great mentor once who just told me, you need to tell people what you want to go do. I'm going to hijack your interview for a moment. You kind of said, hey, I'm going to start this truck club, right? And it's like, just taking that step to, hey, is this a bad idea? Is this a good idea? What's this look like? Finding people that you want to bounce ideas off that kind of been there, done that, maybe failed a lot, right, along the way.
Obviously, you've learned a lot throughout, your entrepreneurship, being your own boss. Can you talk about what ways you keep learning in today, even though that you learned so much throughout these past few years?
I read a lot. I enjoy reading. I enjoy reading across a lot of different disciplines, a lot of different books that were published 40 years ago, 50 years ago, and all the way to today, just how people write and how they think and the evolution of time. So I spend a lot of time reading. Wall Street Journal, Economist, every day, just get up and spend some time. And I think that's really important just to understand the macros of the world and where things are moving. Nobody can look and know what's going on tomorrow.
For those that don't know, John has his own book. Link for John's book will be in the description below. A lot of people in this world have different motivations and drives to do different things, whether, they're athlete, singer, artist, anything you can imagine. You obviously have a drive in real estate. What drives you and what's your biggest motivation to do what you do?
Yeah, well, interestingly, I don't really feel like my drive is in real estate. My drive in life is my hierarchy. My wife and I, when we got married, we had mentors, marriage mentors, and we just sort of set the hierarchy for us, right? The hierarchy was our faith, our individual faith, and then the second was our marriage, right? So husband and wife, and then the third was the kids, and then the fourth was everything else. Career, mission, friends, right? So it's in that order. I really have always been cognizant, truthfully, of trying to put my career above any of those.
Faith is obviously at your number one on your list. How important has faith been over the course of your life in becoming who you are today?
I personally look at the Bible in terms of that's a pretty good life. Let's just say you don't even believe that stuff. Let's just say you don't even have faith. There's a lot in the teachings of Jesus about wisdom, how to deal with money, how to deal with conflict, how to be humble, that I think that would be a pretty good life to live, right? So that's the genesis of it.
What skills and qualities are essential in today's day and age for an entrepreneur to succeed?
I think it's across the board. I don't think there's any skill set you gotta do this, you gotta do that. There's no substitute for perseverance and grit. We would look at a Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, or Bill Gates, or some people that have done some things that have changed the world. You actually watch Zuckerberg's commencement speech at Harvard, he's talking about all his failures. So I think perseverance and grit are number one. Two, why I was really drawn to you this summer is you're one of the most curious, inquisitive guys I've met. If you can blend humility, curiousness, and perseverance, just grit and hard work, you can make it.
What has been one failure that you've had over the course of time that a young person aspiring to do what you do can learn from?
One of the biggest failures I've had, particularly early in my career, was thinking that people thought like me. And I think in large part bias, having played football, there's a lot of culture in a locker room that is just embedded in that locker room. And so people tend to think alike, right? And people tend to act alike, and it's always for the betterment of the team.
Yeah.
There is structure there that it's never, nobody is higher than the team, right? And so then when you get into the real world, for me, bumping into that where I just figured everywhere you go, everyone wants a team. That was a big challenge. So how do you actually find the time, take the time to really understand who you're trying to work with, right? And what motivates them, what's their life experiences.
The market's always moving. How are you able to mitigate the risk of developing in a bad market?
This is extremely important. That's a really good question. You have to plan for things that could go wrong. One of the biggest issues getting into business is you feel like you need to, and especially if you want investors, you feel like you need to tell them this is a great investment for these reasons. You have to plan for, if it doesn't work, what would be the contingencies. So every single investment thesis, when you sit down and say, hey, Mr. Woodard, we're looking for you to invest this is our expectations and this is the downside. But when you're in the entrepreneurial stage and you're starting something completely fresh that maybe you've never known, it's gonna be twice as long and twice as expensive, just go in that regard. When you start to refine and do several of these over time, it's the risk should mitigate.
In the next 5 to 10 years, do you see anywhere in the country that can possibly booming in real estate or might actually go downhill? I know you live in Bozeman right now, but clearly you read about a lot of things, you follow a lot of things. Is there anything that kind of tells you this market might be higher than that one?
Obviously, there is a continuing shortage of single-family houses. There's not enough supply coming on for the number of people, and I think that's a great opportunity for those that want to get in the market. Every market has its own supply and demand, its own entrance requirements and barriers. What I would say about real estate, if anyone wants to get in real estate, is understand your market, right? You don't really need to know what's going on in other markets because they're all unique and they're all different.
In today's world, knowing what you know, if you were 21 years old in 2025, would you do things a little different?
I would not do anything different in my life because I have started in technology, where I was a cold call sales representative basically calling people for a company that's now defunct, saying, hey, do you want to buy our product, right?
Yeah.
And you could say, well, that might have been a waste of time, but when I was in my early 20s, I was calling people and they would say no every time I called, no matter what it was. So it was a great opportunity to learn. Everyone tells you no, and that's the truth. Like, everyone will tell you no in the business world. It's your job to fight to get to the yes. I've always said to people in their 20s, like, just start somewhere with what you think is your passion, and your passion can change over time. But just always be curious, always be learning, and just figure out where it is you want to go in your life, right?
There you have it. John just gave us a crazy interview. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah, the pleasure's all mine. I think the world of you, and I wish Truck Club all success.
Yeah, thank you. As you can see, John just gave us some crazy game, crazy knowledge. He's a smart dude. He knows what he's talking about. He just gave us the keys to being successful in real estate today. He also gave me a prime drink. Shout out Jake Paul. But anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed the interview. This was a special one for me, considering the fact that he's one of my mentors, and he's been an impactful person in my life today. So with that being said, I'll see you on the next video. Peace.